Hello, hello, hello. Let's see who's on. Hi, Diane and Kay and Janet, Leticia, Kay, Sue Braun, Charlene, Sharon, Beverly. Hi, Ronnie and Cindy and Sharon and Cheryl and Lois. All right, let's get to the right camera. Happy Sunday, guys. Lois, I hope you and your husband had a wonderful 50th anniversary. Isn't that amazing, guys? Love it. Hello, Donna Pultz. And Susan Fanning from Virginia. Hi, Lori. And Teresa and Judy Thacker. I saw your message. Did I see that you were just like abroad, overseas? Or was that an old thing that I saw pop up? Hi, Janet. So I had someone leave a comment that, they came to watch me do art, but not read everyone's name that's on. And I'm like, I'm going to read more names today. So hi, Shirley Coleman and Loretta. Hello, hello. And Peg. Oh, if I missed you, I'm sorry. Hello, welcome, welcome. Hope you had a wonderful happy Valentine's Day, February 14th. My roses are still doing well. I can never tell which way I'm supposed to move. So I was hoping for bunny pin painting today. Oh, you mean the peeps? I'm gonna do those next weekend. So Daytona 500. I have a friend, local, whose husband passed away, and I cannot remember. I wish I knew. But there's a driver that has his name across the top of his door where, they slide in. And it's Edwin Ross, and he passed away recently. He served in the Air Force, and I don't know how that happened, but his name is on the door for Daytona 500. We used to watch NASCAR all the time, but that's when Jeff Gordon raced. We were Jeff Gordon fans. Hi, Marlene and Mary and Elle. So good to see you. Just stopping by to say hello. Oh, hello, Miguel. Hola, how are you? You taught at TPD yesterday. Love that. What did you teach? Donna. Hi, Tina. Oh, Miguel, next time I come down to Mexico, I'm going to have to arrange to spend some time and see you. Oh, thank you. Hi, Debbie. Oh, that big painting is like old, old, old. I have a huge one over there. This one I think is a 30 by 30. The one over there is a 48 by 60. Houston checking in. And as you know, if you watch my lives, I was going to redo the whole background at the beginning of the year, and well, I ended up with the flu and in bed, so that didn't happen. So, hi, Diane McKenzie and Veronica. Good to see you guys on. Yes, happy 50th to Lois and her husband. Aw, hi, Anne. Bobby Labonte. Yes. I was never a Dale Earnhardt fan, but I did like his dad. Atlanta Airport, waiting to get home. Oh my goodness, Elk, I'm so sorry. 11 o'clock tonight. Ah, goodness, goodness. So, hi, Lynn. Alrighty, guys, it's so good to be here. I am, I'm just going to go ahead and apologize in advance. And I don't know how they're going to be. I might have to find a new place. But my nail person sold their salon. And I called to get an appointment. And they're like, we're sorry, he sold. And I'm like, okay, great. So I go tomorrow, and I'm just hoping that they're good. But I will go ahead and apologize that I have two nails that are completely, I won't stick that finger up by itself, but this one, it broke off, and that one broke off. So while I'm painting today, I apologize. I usually put Band-Aids on, but I don't like the Band-Aids. Just like I don't like to wear gloves. Even if I'm acrylic pouring, I don't like to wear gloves. So I know, Loretta, I was so mad, but I think because they probably had an agreement with the co-owner who's still there, who's doing my nails tomorrow. So, okay, I'm sorry. I'll have to look into that and see if I can turn those off during the broadcast. Yes, they are annoying. So, it's your party. Do what you want to. Too cute. Okay. Now, I remember I did some demoing for DecoArt at maybe one of the last or the next to last creative painting convention in Las Vegas. And I'm still waiting for somebody else to pick up a convention to have it in Las Vegas, because let me just tell you, it was awesome. But anyway, hi, Kathy McAllister. Where was my brain going with that? I just completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, lost my train of thought there. Hello. Yes, and I don't like them when they're not. Oh, hello. Back to the nails. So, squirrel. I was doing pouring at the creative painting convention, and after me, Chris Thornton Deason, God rest her soul, was demoing. She goes, "Why aren't you wearing gloves?" I had paint. I look like the Hulk. It was all in my ring. It was all over my hands. But the feel of gloves when I'm trying to paint just feels weird. So I just don't wear them. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Barbara. I know, but I just like for my nails to look really pretty when I'm on. But I have some videos I have to do, so I have got to get my nails done tomorrow. Middle of a storm. Oh my goodness, Diane. We had that earlier. We thought it passed, but it's gotten dark outside again. So, hi, Deb Easton. Someone needs to do one down here in Florida, preferably Ocala. Tampa's okay too, I know, right? I loved it when NAMTA, Creativation, was in Orlando. Absolutely loved that. I want to say that was 2021 or 22. It was after the pandemic. So anyway, yeah, I don't do gloves. Don't like gloves. Wearing rubber gloves is not, no, not at all. I don't, when I went to the doctor, so in, January, I had the flu and was down for almost the whole month. And I wore a mask and I can't breathe when I have a mask on. I don't know how nurses and doctors do it all the time. Kudos to them, and greatly appreciated. But I will wear it and suffer for not being able to breathe to not share my germs. So anyway, I loved the Vegas convention. It was fantastic. So anyway, okay, let's get started. First things first, I do have giveaways this week. And all you have to do is like, comment, and share, and your name will be entered. So next week when I do the little peeps, I'm planning to do that, but I'll probably do something else. And yeah, so I'm going to draw 3 names. And I'm losing my train of thought like crazy today, right? So let me just show you, and I probably should just come right down here. What's bummer? That's the funny thing. Sometimes you guys will comment and then I'm like, wait, what a minute? Wait a minute. What did I say 10 minutes ago? And then the comment will come up. I can't wait. I'm so excited for my bunnies to get here. Oh yes, Deb. They should be there hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, I'm going to do the little Peeps bunny. I can't call them that because, of course, that's copyrighted. So, bunny faces, please. Gotcha. Judy Thacker. That's where I met you, right? At Vegas. And just adore you. So, all right, let's come down here so I can show you a few things. All right. And in the meantime, let me just say, if you are new, and watching for the first time, please let me know that you're here and where you're viewing from. This is something that's going to be available at Oh, being sick. Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Yes. Sick was not good in January. But I do have three happy mails. And so let me just show you. So these are, I'm doing stickers now, if you're not familiar that I'm now doing stickers. Let me see if I have those. Do I have them? So these are the stickers I have right now. I have more coming. But for Happy Mail, I have three little packs going out, each different. So art is my therapy. Hello. If art is your therapy, leave that in the comments for me, okay? Let me backtrack real quick. Like I said, if you're new here, how did you find me? Where are you from? Glad that you're here. Hope that you enjoyed today's lesson. And make sure that you like, comment, share so that you can also be entered into the giveaways, okay? So I have Art is My Therapy. It's a good day to make some art. And I'm shedding my hair. Creative people don't have a mess. They have ideas laying around. So these are iron-on patches that I have. And then in each bag, the recipient is going to get this little handy dandy top 5 tips for when you're not motivated to create. And all the current stickers that I have in right now. Let me just preface, I might be getting my other stickers this week. And if I am, I'm going to hold off sending these so that I can include those. All right. So this one is, I have too much paint, said no one ever. And inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Frida, hello. If you painted Frida's with me a couple weeks ago, just absolutely have always loved her. And a little quote from her. This is the largest sticker that I have. They're vinyl, they're weatherproof, they're waterproof. You could stick them on a water bottle if you want to and hand wash it. So this one, I have too many brushes, said no one ever. Paint is only wasted when it stays in the bottle, the tube, or the pan, right? And then eat, paint, sleep, and repeat. So those are going in along with, remember I said last week or the week before that I had a new Snowy holding a heart. I did not get him done before Valentine's Day. And then the Sacred Heart pin that I have. So those and a set of Dynasty brushes. Now, let me just show you. I'm going to show you one set that I have because they're different. But I have a rake brush. I also have two brushes that are actually, they're Dynasty brushes, but they were Deco Art Traditions brushes. And they don't have logos on them. So I just wanted to show you those. Again, like, comment, share. Your name will be entered into the giveaways. Like I said, I'm going to have these at convention in June. Little sponge that's going to help you float better. And let me just tell you guys too that this lamb, I said it's Pastoral Spring, but I should say Pastoral Spring for Ann. Ann Harrison asked me like 3 years ago to do a lamb, and I drew one out on this surface. This is the drawing, and I finally got around to painting him. So anyway, I always love to share my art journal pieces with you guys. So we did with my membership group the end of January. We just did this one this past week. And this coming up Thursday, we've got a really cool Technique Thursday class. So, all right, let me get my palette paper out. And we will get started because what I did was I went ahead and prepped one and I prepped a surface. So this is available on cdwood.com. Right? Yes. And I will have these on my site soon. So, but yeah, it's the perfect thing for getting pretty much the correct amount of water. I will say this isn't my idea. This I found Tracy Morrow did this years ago, and it's always stuck with me. But when you're away at convention or something and you know, the room is warm or you're working in your studio and the lights are hot or whatever the case may be, the sponge is going to give you the correct amount of moisture to float. You could also use this for washing your brushes. Put a little dish soap in it, carry it with you, rinse out the sponge, get out that soap, and you're good to go. Aw, thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. I will tell you guys, everything is very simple. The one thing that I was like, ugh, the eyes. The eyes, the eyes, the eyes on any animal is a little crazy. So, I played around with them. If you got the e-packet, which many of you did, thank you so much. And I'm just going to zoom in a wee bit right there. If when you did, you'll notice the step-by-step pictures, the eyes change many times because they were very round, and my husband said he looks a little demonic. So I'm like, well, I don't want that for this piece, so I need to change it. So we are going to get started. Let me move this out of the way. Hi, Lucy and Carol. Aw, thank you guys. I greatly appreciate it. Yes, thank you for liking, comment, and sharing. I always have a sponge wet next to me. Yes, yes. Art is my therapy. It's cheaper than therapy, right? Okay, I need to move my mouse somewhere. And we're going to get started. I have to tell you guys, this background is so incredibly easy. So for those that are new here, I paint with DecoArt Americana paints. This is a very old bottle. This is baby blue. It's a little bit of a dated color, but I have to tell you, it is a great sky color. All right, so baby blue. You could also use a newer color like Provence Sky. Where is my fan? Because it is hot. I need to turn that on. And I'll turn it off in a minute because it's going to dry my paint. Hi, Janet. Hi, Shirley. Thank you, guys. And Carrie from Virginia. Anyway, Provence Sky is a really pretty color if you don't have baby blue. And then we're going to get out a little bit of titanium white. What I did on the background while I'm putting this on my palette is I base coated my surface, again, available at cdwood.com. Let me see if I have their email or their website. I don't know that I do. Doggone it. Because I haven't used this surface in a long time because, again, I drew it on here when I did the bunny a couple springs ago, but cdwood.com. Someone can put that in the comments for me. That'd be awesome. So I base coated it with multi-purpose sealer. I did the front, the sides. You could also do the back if you want to. This is MDF. It's an 8-inch breadboard, and I believe right now Chris has them on her site for $2.50. So I think I have 3 or 4 designs on this. So does Tracy Morrow and several others. I mean, Chris included. So check out her site. So I then painted it with a coat of warm white. And the reason I used warm white versus titanium white is this has a little bit better coverage for me. It's a little bit more opaque. All right. So put that on there. Let it dry. You can mix the two together as well, but I typically don't. And then we're going to get out some colors. Some foliage green. cdwood.com. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. And thank you for the Valentine wishes the other day. Yesterday. Appreciate it. That's okay, Kay. I have ADHD, self-diagnosed, and yeah. I believe that's why I'm an oversharer and get into 10,000 different things at one time. Okay, so I just put out a color that I didn't tell you, Sprout. So I was telling my membership group last week I was mixing a bunch of colors to create colors that have been discontinued. And I was using Sprout, and I thought, oh my gosh, I love that color Where did it come from? Well, it came out in 22 because I write the year on the bottom of it. So this is the first bottle I got in 2022, and I'm using it. I used it on my tulips with my group last week, and I used it on this piece. I love it. It is a beautiful yellow-green color. So, and then we're also going to get out some plantation pine. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all that on. I will move my sponge over there. Now the thing is, let me tell you too, if you do have a sponge that has a container, you want to make sure that this is completely dry before you close the lid and leave it for 2 weeks. Okay. The other thing is you can put a penny in the bottom, and that will keep it from mildewing. But you want to not carry it and keep it around for weeks and weeks and weeks because it will mildew. The penny will help it not. Okay, I'm gonna grab a 3/4. I have a question. Why doesn't it cost more to buy paint from DecoArt than to buy it from a retail store? Why doesn't it cost more? I don't know, Kay. It is debatable if art's cheaper than therapy. Oh my goodness. Well, the supplies aren't cheap. It's an 8-inch, Marlene. The one I got was an 8-inch. It is a reasonable replacement for olive green. Absolutely. Okay, so I have my 3/4 flat. I base coated it with warm white. I'm going to pick up some baby blue, and I'm going to just start right here. Now you could use a sponge dauber if you don't want it to get on the edges. I don't care. You could also take very thin paint or even Vaseline, and it will come off the edges, okay? So we're going to paint baby blue, and I might end up with some streaks like there where it's a little bit thinner. And if I do, great, because that's an automatic little cloud, if you will, in the sky. So this is going to come down a couple of inches from the top. Does not have to be opaque. It can be streaky because we're going to put clouds. Ooh, I think my brush was a little wet there. So we'll make sure we put a cloud there. I'm going to have trees there. I did not wash out the brush. I just wiped it off on my paper towel. And now I'm going to pick up all 3 of these colors: foliage green, sprout, and plantation pine. And we are going to use a horizontal stroke right where that sky left off. Let me just move that out of the way. I'm picking all 3 up on my brush, not mixing it down to one color, which is going to help give you some darker areas, some lighter areas, but we are going to go over this a few times. Okay. Okay, so the question, what is in the e-packet? Step-by-step instructions, step-by-step pictures, a line drawing, and a supply list of what brushes and colors I used. So, and it is an instant download. Don't forget there's that discount code, ART. All right, so that is our foreground with my fingerprint right there. So, again, plantation pine, some foliage green, some sprout. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And I don't know what that is, but a tree's gonna take care of it. Yeah, that's a great input, Patrick. So, oh, so I understand your point, because your first question, Kay said, why doesn't it cost more to buy it from DecoArt? I think you meant, why does it cost more? So DecoArt is always going to give their best price to their distributors, all right? And the distributors have the discretion of what they're going to charge. Hobby Lobby charged 99 cents for their Americana. Michael's did not. So a lot of people bought it from Hobby Lobby. I will tell you, they didn't make much profit. I do have a discount code. It's in the description. Celery shoot will work great, Loretta. By Marlene. Did you use this board for I did use this board for the fox. Yes. Okay. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the, still got green in there. A little bit more of the baby blue. I'm just going to put that right over that green. And let's dry it. I already have one prepped because I knew this was going to take a minute with the drying. Yes, absolutely. And if you're military, Michaels gives a discount too. 10 or 15, I think 10%. I didn't know that for a long time. And I think they have a great app as well. Hi, Connie. I think Michaels has a great app for shopping. Okay, I'm not sure. It might have been a drop ship thing. Art is the discount code. Yes, that is for my website. And then I also have Sandy15, all caps, on DecoArt's website. Okay, so we've got our sky and we have our grass meadow in, right? So what I did after that was transfer my pattern, and I will zoom in a wee bit for you. There we go. So I have my my lammy on there, and just very loosely I put in the trees. Now, I will just say, the line drawing has a very loose interpretation of the trees, okay? So you're just gonna kind of block in the shape. You'll notice I did not put any of the daisies. I will look at my original and put them in similar spots, but the only thing that really has defined shape is the lamb and the flowers and the leaves, okay? The trees are just very loose. So once I was done with my sky and my meadow, transferred the pattern, a wash of Payne's Gray, very thin down, media line Payne's Gray, my go-to. And then the flowers I did with warm white, and it was just a very light coat to separate it from the background. All right, but we're going to start on the clouds and work our way down, and I'm going to use a 3/8 angle. Okay. Yes, Joanne's, that was sad that they closed. Excuse me. So I'm going to pick up some white on the toe of the brush, and then I'm just going to work that in, swipe it across a paper towel, and I do that just to get rid of that excess buildup. And the toe is going to face down, okay? This is the other thing, is you have clouds that I kind of put on their, no, I didn't put any clouds, that's why. I was going to, and I changed my mind, so that you don't feel like you have to put a cloud there. But what I'm doing is a small little circular motion. It's just circular, circular, circular. And I'm going to put in a little cloud here, come back, swipe it across my paper towel. These are white spots from when I put on the blue. So a little bit more, swipe it off. Load that up again, wipe it off. You don't want to use your best angle brush. You could also use the Mezzaluna brushes to do this. And I will come back and show you when I put the highlights on the clouds that I'm going to use the Mezzaluna brush. Okay, but these do not have to be exact where I have them. We also want it just to be a nice spring, clear day. Doesn't have to have too many clouds. Okay, so let me show you in my hand. I'm thinking about the building of that cloud. All right, so it's just very billowy instead of going, okay, we don't want to make mountains. We want to make an ethereal, billowing cloud on our piece. All right, great little piece of paper there. All righty. Then, let me just look. After we get done with our clouds, if you have too many, what you can do is a wash of that blue right over it, all right? So we have out our colors for our trees except for asphaltum. I'm gonna get out a little bit of asphaltum, and we will get out some, we've got warm white, that's great. We're gonna get out some Payne's gray. Alrighty. And I'm gonna use a small, like a number 4 flat. Okay, you could use a 2 flat as well. But it's dry, I didn't get it wet. I'm just gonna pick up some asphaltum, tiny touch of Payne's gray. And for these bigger tree trunks, I'm going to use the corner and press a little bit harder, okay? For these that are shorter, smaller, not as thick, I'm going to just use the chisel edge. Again, they can kind of go here and there. You could also use a liner brush. Let's bring some down onto the meadow. I'm not real worried about the branches and twigs and stuff because I'll do that with a liner brush after I come in with the greenery. And you could even give yourself a little guideline with where those are gonna go. And then here, I've got a bigger one that comes down here. Oops, see that one got a little bit more Payne's gray and that's quite all right. We've got one right there. All right, so, I mean, seriously, it's like if you can paint a black or brown line, that really is what it is. And a very sketchy, questionable one at that, all right? So, then we're going to rinse that off. Hi, Margaret. If you to convention where Pinecraft is the vendor, your paint, you buy your paint from, oh yes, absolutely. And Pinecraft carries all the colors and a lot of the discontinued colors as well. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that asphaltum, tiny touch of warm white, mix it, just a couple strokes, and we just wanna highlight maybe just a little bit of that trunk. Nothing exact, it's far away, we can't really see it that well. Right? So let's let that set up and let me show you, because our clouds are dry. I'm going to come in with a medium Mezzaluna. It's dry, it's my dry brush. I'm going to pick up some titanium white on the corner and work that in, tap it across my paper towel, and then the same kind of motion is just soft little circular motions. Okay, and we don't want to do the whole cloud. I'm just kind of doing that top, maybe skipping a little bit so you get a highlight. Come back, swipe it across your paper towel. Soft little circular motions. Use your finger to soften it out if you need to. And then you could even come in with a, oop, too much. So use your finger if you get too much. I was gonna say with some little wispy clouds here in the back. Okay, so those, and I love this whole design. One of my favorite parts is that right there. I just think it's so pretty. And if you shop Cheryl Bentley, has messy bows and stuff. And if she's here, go ahead and put that in the comments. And if not, someone knows the link, feel free to put that in. But I just think that would be so cute either here or around there with her little messy bow ribbons. So because I have white in here, I'm just going to wipe it off on my paper towel. And I'm going to use the other corner just because I don't want it so white to begin with. I have Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray, and I'm going to tap that in, pick up a little bit more Plantation Pine, and come over to the side because I got too much of the Payne's Gray. And we don't want to take away so much of the sky that all we have is trees. So when you're thinking about putting that greenery on, and you've got a little bit of a top on your tree here, and a little bit over that trunk, and you can turn the brush to get that little scruffy look. Again, this is Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray. We want it to be dark before we start with the lighter colors. Plantation Pine, Payne's Gray, tap it on your brush, tap it across a paper towel so you don't get too much. And I'm moving my brush around so that I don't end up, if I do it the same, you're going to end up with the same stroke. So we want to move that around and get that nice little greenery. We've got greenery behind those trees. We've got some coming out here, which we'll do in a second. Got a little bit of a bush over here I added just to have something a little bit lower. And then I will just take that brush, again, do a little bit of a zigzag underneath it. Landscapes used to scare me, and I will just tell you guys, they really are a lot easier than they look. So that is our dark green, right? Then I'm going to take my paper towel, wipe it off really well. And where I had that white corner, I'm going to pick up some foliage green and some sprout. And we're just going to tap that into that corner. Tap it across my paper towel, again, just to get rid of excess. And I'm going to tap over that dark, but I don't want to cover up all the dark that I put on there. And again, you want to change the direction. Either your brush is up or your brush is down, but not the same for every little push of that brush, because you will end up with a very defined pattern. And if that happens, the trick is just to backtrack with the colors you used before. So if you get too much light, you're just going to go back to your base, which is Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray. Okay. And then we'll put our little highlight on our bush down here. And then I do have right here some little lighter shades of trees that are behind there. I'm going to pick up just the tiniest touch of Payne's Gray. Excuse me, Plantation Pine, not Payne's Gray. A little bit of Plantation Pine just to give them a little bit of shape. All right, then back to foliage green and sprout. And if you go above the trees, you're going to get a much nicer, lighter highlight there on that blue. All right. Then I'm going to wipe it off. Pick up on the corner of that brush, sprout, and some warm white. And then we're just going to highlight a little bit more white, but tapping it on that paper towel is really going to help you keep that excess off, okay? And I'm tapping it fewer times than I did before so that I don't end up with covering all of my dark color. What is What is a HOCO room rate? Diane, they have the convention room rate. Sprout and white. Tap across your paper towel. Going to come in here, make these brighter and lighter. Oh, it is pouring down right now. And we don't want to keep all this at the top. We need to come back over those tree trunks, like we've got a tree or branches with stuff coming down in front, right? So I'm gonna pick up just a little bit more, get a little bit more of a highlight, try not to get a pattern. Okay, I have a little bit too much yellow up there, so I'm gonna fix that. But what I wanna do now is wipe off my brush. And I'm going to just pick up a little bit of that, very, very, very sketchy. Right down into my areas there. Okay, now I am going to go back to that number 4 flat and pick up some warm white, because right here where I got a little bit too much of that tree, I am just going to do a little bit of a cloud right over it. Okay, take some of that space back. Same thing, if you do too much, you can always come back in and shape up. Your base color or whatever's behind it is a fantastic eraser. Okay, let's rinse that out and go to my black gold number 8 flat. All right, it's dry. And her messy bows are online market space. She's working on it. Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. I knew you would know. I need to get a sip of tea. It's nice that my cough is almost all gone. All right, so I'm going to take this dry number 8 flat, and I'm going to pick up some Payne's Gray and some Plantation Pine and just work that in, okay? You could do it on both sides. I know you guys hear me all the time. I'm going to swipe it gently across the paper towel. When I started doing that years ago, it was a game changer for me, because, excuse me, I would always end up with too much paint. And it's hard to get rid of too much paint, right? So I'm going to put this tree right back down here. Oops, let's pick up a little bit of brown so you can see it right there. And then, so we've got trees behind, we've got trees in front, and I'm just going to go back and forth, and I'm using a horizontal zigzag motion. That's gonna give us kind of that rolling meadow look. And the reason I like to do it after I have gotten my design on is because I know where I need to be darker, like here. Okay, so underneath the lamb, I kind of moved and skipped around, but I know that I'm going to have some darker in here. Payne's Gray, Plantation Pine, swipe it across your paper towel. I'm going to get some dark in here. Even though we've got flowers and leaves, we have to have some kind of a little shadow. And you definitely could do this part, you know, put on your pattern and then do the whole background before doing the trees and everything. Put a little one there. We're gonna have some dark up in here. Okay, it's gonna look really, really ugly. Oh my goodness, Mardi Gras, I forgot about that. And Linda, did you guys have any damage or anything with the tornadoes? I hope not. I saw your message. That's very scary. Alrighty, so we know we're gonna have some greenery here. Again, this can go anywhere. It does not have to be in an exact spot, but I will say, look at the light color behind it. We don't want to get so heavy that we take away all that really pretty color in the background. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum, tiny bit of white, and my little tree trunk that was right there. I'm going to pick up some asphaltum and Payne's Gray. And right here, I'm just going to touch the chisel edge of that brush. You could also use a liner, but I'm going to just touch that here and there to make it look like I've got some branches and things that go on those trees. Okay. I didn't do anything with those in the middle. They're just pretty much that lighter sprout color. All right, they're a little further away. You could always add a little darker shadow, or I would not add a brighter highlight. Again, they are far enough back that we don't want to give them too much detail. Okay, when you start giving them a lot of detail, then you get into bringing it too close to us, and we are keeping these further back. All right, and then I'm just gonna, instead of wasting it, and I typically just take it right onto the element, so like right onto the little lammy. Okay, let me get to you in a minute. Gotta blame somebody. I think YouTube is the problem. I know Kay, right? Okay. To move that somewhere. So my cough is doing much better. So let me show you something real quick, because if you do get too much greenery and you're like, I wish I had, my trees were more separated, you're going to use that blue color, and you can come in and you can pop in a little bit of that blue and white and regain some of your sky. All right. So instead of wiping it off and feeling like you gotta come back in with new color, you can do it just like that. All right, I'm going to come in with some of that Payne's Gray and Plantation Pine, because I want to come up underneath that little bush right there. Highlight it a little bit. Just when it's so perfectly shaped. Okay, we're going to go back to the number 8 flat, and I'm going to pick up foliage green, sprout, and warm white. We're going to 1, 2, 3, swipe, swipe, swipe it across a paper towel to get rid of the excess. And then we're going to start, and I'm going back and forth on the flat of that brush. All right. So I'm going to come in on the flat of that brush and zigzag it back and forth. We want to leave those pockets of dark, okay? Now I'm going to back off the white. I'm just going to use the foliage green and the sprout. Oops, did not wipe it off on my paper towel. And me telling you guys that half the time is so that I don't forget like that. So, sprout, foliage green. I left the warm white off. It got too bright too quick. And we are just going to zigzag, leaving those dark spots behind for our meadow. When I was designing this, again, I had it drawn out, but when I was painting it, my husband had come in and saw where I was at with it drawn out and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I need to do a background. And then like 10 minutes later, he came out and brought me lunch. He was like, oh my gosh, you finished that. It really goes fast if you don't overthink it, okay? And we like to overthink things, right? I know I, for one, do. So, and I don't like it, but I do it. So sprout and foliage green, we want to keep that dark up underneath, although we can always add it back in. And we're just going to go back and forth in a zigzag motion. Oop, not white, Sandy. Hello. Has to be horizontal. You want your strokes horizontal. And it will still look like those hills and stuff are rolling, right? Hi, Faye. Excuse me. Hope you're doing well. No one? All right, so a little bit brighter there. And we could put a little bright up in here, a couple places maybe, like right in here. All right, so let's come right up here, up underneath there. All righty, now what we want to do is pick up a little bit of sprout, a little bit of warm white, work it in like I am on my palette, swipe it across a paper towel, and even, oop, wiped off too much, even less, we want to put in some of that sprout and some white, just to give us almost like the sun's hitting that spot. And if you get it too white, all you have to do is come back with a little wash of sprout and put it on, and you will be good to go. But again, you want to leave the dark pockets, and if you lose those, easy to put them, oop, picked up foliage green. It's easy to put them back in. Okay, now we're going to get into that little bit brighter sprout and warm white. We want to keep some dark down here too, though, because we have those daisies, which are the simplest daisies you're going to paint ever. Okay. Yeah, it is black here now and pouring. So for whatever reason, if we do lose power, I will come back and do this tomorrow or whenever, if we lose power, okay? I'm gonna use that number 8 just because I have it in my hand. Remember that cloud that we put there? I'm just gonna put a little bit brighter highlight on it. All right, now just white and a little bit of sea glass. Okay, just a little bit of sea glass. Sea glass can get really, really white. So I didn't wash out my brush. I still have that sprout in there. I'm gonna pick up sea glass and a little bit of that warm white, and even less, like in the most highlighted spots. Swipe it. You see how dry it is right there. There's not a lot of paint. I'm gonna put that here and there, but not everywhere. Okay. Now I am just gonna get this little scruffy brush, pick up a little bit of sprout and that warm white. And anywhere I need to add maybe a little brighter highlight, you can add it there. Okay, let's move that out of the way. Now I do want to take down this color just a little bit. I see it right here, it's just looking kind of black. So I'm gonna pick up a little foliage green, just so I don't have a straight line there. Okay, horizon line's good, but this is just foliage green. Okay, so I just want to bring a little bit of that green back in, zigzag. Okay, now let's go to our flowers. And on the daffodils and the tulips, sorry, I'm moving my chair up. I did a base coat of warm white on those. And let me just zoom in so that you can see, because the pattern has the petals and everything, but if they get lost, it's quite okay. Because we're gonna float around them, give them the shape. We're gonna do very thin washes of color for the pink and the yellow so that then we can come back in and shade it, all right? So I did use some Marvelous. Again, don't know how you can paint with that color without saying Marvelous. And we'll just put a little bit there. This is one of the Americana 40th anniversary colors. Love it. Then we're going to pair that with my favorite, probably my third favorite in the media line. I do carry what's left of the media line on my website. It is amazing. You don't need a lot. In fact, what I have right there would probably help all of us paint our piece, okay? So the top of the project with the trees and the pasture below reminds me of reading books I had in school in second and third. Aww, a little nostalgic. Thank you, Patrick. I love that. All right, I am going to pick up a little bit of warm white and asphaltum because, again, I do want a little swipe of a highlight on these trees that are a little bit bigger. Patrick, did you guys get a bunch of snow? I know it was snowing there. Hi, Betty. Okay, so on the tulips, I'm going to use that number 4 flat. My brush is wet. Oop, not that wet. And I want to pull out some of the Marvelous color, and I'm just going to slap it on just like this. I'm still going to be able to see my line drawing. And if you can't, what I recommend is leaving a little space in between, or print your pattern out on vellum, and then you're going to be able to lay it down in the exact spot, okay? I get my vellum on Amazon. I just look for, printable vellum because I like to print on it for my seminars and conventions, and then also for myself. But same thing with the flowers. If you got the pattern packet on the line drawing, you'll see there's an extra little tulip here, and there's an extra little daffodil here, because when I got done, everything just kind of stopped, and I'm like, I need to carry that on. It looks like the trees carry on, the flowers need to carry on, the tulip needs to carry on. So anyway, and then with that color, guys, you can just come in and put a little bit of that into the meadow if you want to. I did not on my original, but you certainly could if you wanted to add what looks like a little bit of pink flowers there. And then let's go ahead and do our, excuse me. I can't remember if I base coated in Yuzu Yellow or Sunny Day. So I'm just going to use Yuzu Yellow because it's just a tad darker than Sunny Day. Let me show you. Okay, Sunny Day is a great highlight color for Yuzu Yellow. So I'm going to base coat it in Yuzu. And if my directions say Sunny Day, that's okay too. All right, so we're just going to base coat in very loosely these petals. We're having breakfast for dinner. Do you guys ever do that? I think I asked you sometime last year, but we are doing Belgian waffles for dinner. So yuzu yellow. Super excited. If you didn't see, the selections came out for NET, and I'm teaching 3 classes. Very excited about that. Would be good if you don't have Marvelous. You could use Peony Pink, Baby Pink, Carousel Pink. Alrighty. And then we're going to leave that for right now because I want to put in the leaves. All right, so I'm going to use that number 4 flat, pick up some Payne's Gray and some Plantation Pine, just work it in on that brush. I love breakfast for dinner. And I know I'm going to have some stems for my flowers, right? Some of them you're not going to be able to see, and it really doesn't matter. These are the supporting actors to our beautiful lamb that is going to have gorgeous eyes at the end, right? So, thank you, Donna. I am so excited. I love them. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide on the brush and pull down these leaves. Okay, Plantation Pine, Payne's Gray, slide on the chisel edge. Let me get my hand out of the way. I'm going to slide and push and get that really pretty tulip leaf right there. Slide, push, and then I have one that comes here. They do not have to, like if you added another leaf to that, it's quite all right. All right, we're just going to get some leaves in here. We want it dark in here because we want to give the illusion, maybe not necessarily up here or here, but in this area that we have more leaves and stems that are coming from up there, right? So we will put in another little leaf right there. All right, let me just look. I think I have a little space right here. Got that one. And we'll put a little one right there. Same thing over here. We're going to do those little stems that we can see. And then slide this darker up in here. We've got a nice leaf right there. Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray. If it touches a petal, that's okay. I want to go ahead and put it in, but then I know that I'm going to have to paint over it. But it's the impression of, the look of. Okay, this is where you're going to get a little bit sassy. I want you to go, I can do that. I mean, hello, I'm just going to paint in some leaves and not get so hung up on a pattern, all right? So did you notice what I did here and how that grounded those leaves and stems and everything? And we want to do the same thing over here. I don't want it to look like they're just free flying out here on the meadow. We want to ground them and have them growing from somewhere. So a little bit more of that Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray. Wipe off my brush. I'm going to come in here to some foliage green, sprout, touch of warm white, swipe it across my paper towel, and then bring in just a little bit of a highlight here and there, but not everywhere. All right, and that pink is a little too much for me, so I am gonna bring in a little. The meadow part is so easy. When you think of if it's too light, you're just gonna backtrack and go to your Payne's Gray and Plantation Pine. If it's too dark, sprout and white or fresh foliage and white. We just want to keep it short so that you keep the dark the light. Alrighty. Then I'm going to take that same brush and wipe it off. I'm going to pick up Plantation Pine on the whole brush. On one corner, I'm going to get some Sprout and some Warm White. Swipe it across my paper towel. And right here, I'm going to touch, swipe, and pull. Touch and pull. And let me pick up a little bit of foliage green. And we're just going to swipe that brush. So some Plantation Pine on the whole brush, some foliage green. You could even use some of the sea glass and some of that Warm White. Swipe it across my paper towel. Okay. And then if that is too white, you're just going to pick up some Sprout and bring it right on. Again, very loose and don't overthink. I'm just going to highlight some of those areas where you want the leaf to come out a little bit thicker. You've got to apply that pressure. So like here, I'll go and push here and push. Ooh, got pink on my arm. That Sprout is very yellow and so pretty. Now that's too white. That's the sea glass. So I'm going to pick up some Sprout. Okay. Now, thank you. So let me slow that down and show you. Let me do it on the back of this. So I have that Plantation Pine on the whole brush. Let's do some Sprout and a little bit of Warm White. I'm gonna double load it, but the lighter color's on one side, the darker's on the other. And when I go to pull that stroke, I just want to look at the leaf and I'm going to touch and slide. Okay, and when you slide like that instead of touch and slide, see you get a stop mark, whereas here you get a feather. It will feather through that color. So that's what we're going for. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up some Sprout, some white, swipe it across my paper towel. Oops, pick up a couple little swipes here and there, even if they don't look like they go or matter. You just have more stems and leaves back there than you know. And then maybe I'll just put a little bit of that here and here. So when I do a landscape like this, I try not to waste whatever's on my brush. I'll just put it and pop it in somewhere else. Okay. Oh, I have all the golden books. I still have them, yes. Oh, that's awesome, Loretta. I know a lot of people had a hard time finding the things at the Dollar Tree that I shared last week. I will be doing those soon because I'm itching to get those frames done. Okay, I'm gonna use my favorite, you can tell because it's got paint everywhere, but a 1/4 inch faux squirrel angle brush, and I'm just gonna touch my sponge there so I can get enough moisture. Pick up some asphaltum, okay? Now, if you have a big puddle of water right here, you're gonna want to wipe off your brush, come back to it. That's about the right amount of moisture because we want these to bleed. And when I say bleed, we want that to not be so dark at the toe that moisture doesn't carry the color up. So what I'm doing is the toe is facing the base of those petals, And I'm going to float on the asphaltum. This is such a great little surface. And Cover Distributing has lots of different sizes. But when like I said, I checked yesterday, I only have like 6, I think, in stock. And mine are a little bit more expensive because I buy them from her. So, but go check out cdwood.com and get that little surface. I think she had some other sales going on too, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so when you're painting these, again, we're not going to overthink it. We are just going to look at the shape of those petals, get that shading in around the centers, which I've not painted yet. Because had I, it would have taken away the shape. And I'm not a real, I don't like patterns. I mean, I don't use a pattern when I paint. I start from my pattern, but it's also a suggestion, okay? It's not the end-all be-all. If your daffodil petal is different shape than the original, that is okay. Did you guys know that it's okay? It's okay to deviate. Use that pattern as a guideline to help you, but also improvise a little. Okay, so we've got that dark on. Hi, Peg. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Marilyn Healy, thank you for the stars. I greatly appreciate that. Alrighty, now over on our tulips, I'm gonna come here again with that 1/4 inch angle, pick up a little touch of quinacridone magenta. It is a very strong, that's why these paints are more expensive. It is very, very pigmented. So even walking out that float, you're going to have a little bit more color than with like regular Americana, okay? So I don't mind this being a little dark, but what I want to do is I want to go up under these petals, and then I'm going to go in the center and get a little bit of that shape defined, okay? So I'm going to go around the base of the tulip, and then a little bit in the center. And then get in the center. Again, if your petal ends up, or your tulips end up with fewer petals than mine, not the end of the world. We just want to have maybe 2 or 3 in the front and a couple in the back. Okay. Aw, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. I was just telling them earlier, I thought it'd be so pretty with your messy bows right here, or even on that hole there. I just think it'd be so pretty. Attach it to a gift or give it to a friend, or if you're having an Easter something. All right, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more because we want to make sure we've got that inside of our tulip. And I can't wait to show you guys the daisies, because they are the easiest daisies you're ever gonna paint. So we've got a little loop there, a little loop there, that comes down. Okay, and then I think I missed. No, I didn't. I did that one there. It has very little going on. Okay, so remember when I said about the leaves for both, if you feel like it's a little too in your face, all you got to do is take a little bit of plantation pine, which is a transparent green, and you're just going to do a wash over it. So if you feel like it's too yellow, again, personal choice, I like the bright, and sometimes that wash of plantation pine over it, just gives you that pretty wash anyway, okay? And then I think I could, a little too light right up in here. So a little Payne's Gray. Okay, let's go back. Now that we've done our daffodil shading, we're gonna pick up some of that yuzu yellow, and we're going to put in the centers of some of these. And I'm just using my 1/4 inch angle. That's what I had in my hand, and we're going to just do a little zigzag, ruffly center. You can always switch brushes. And then this one. I'm just using the toe to get that coloring in there. All right. Aw, thanks, guys. Just read like you were going to start painting. All right, let me just try this. You guys are so funny. All right. Now, we're going to take that 1/4 inch angle, and let me get some, I don't think I have that out yet, titanium white. And we're going to pick up some Marvelous and a touch of white and work that in. Again, I want to just swipe it across my paper towel. And I'm going to start in the front so that I can at least get my shape for the back petals, okay? I find it much easier to, if I know where my front petals are, and I'm just floating that color right along the front. So again, a little titanium white, some Marvelous, and this one has a little thing going there. Swipe it across your paper towel. And then this one doesn't have anything but a little bit of highlight right there that I just wiped off. So I'm going to bring that around. Again, if you've got 2 or 3 petals in the front, your tulip is going to look dimensional, and that's what we're going for. Again, if I laid my pattern down right now, you probably will see that I've deviated a little bit because I'm just going with what I see on my tulips. Okay, it might need an extra little petal or no petal. Your call. Okay, and then I'm going to take more of the pink and a touch of white, work that in, and we'll just do a very little highlight on those back petals. Oops, I missed right there. Again, the Marvelous and the white, titanium white. Excuse me. For the back petals, I used a little bit more of the Marvelous so that it's not so white. Okay. Hi, Kathy. Alrighty, guys. Now, I am going to come back to the quinacridone magenta now that we've got things in, and I can start shaping these up a little bit more, okay? A little bit here. I'm not even looking at my original. I'm going with what I see on my surface. So again, you can always lay the pattern back down and do exactly the way it's painted on my original, or just kind of wing it. And I do want to darken up that left side with that quinacridone magenta. Oh, I just love that color. So pretty. See what I did there? Got too much? Touch it with your finger. It's a lot easier than trying to get a brush or a paper towel and wipe it off. Okay. Thank you, Marlene. Alrighty, now I'm going to come in with that angle brush and titanium white. On the toe, you can see right there on the bottom right of the screen, I'm loading that up, swiping it across my paper towel, and I'm going to slide. And when you're sliding on the chisel edge, you don't want to lean back, you don't want to lean forward. Think of it like you're ice skating so that you can get really, really thin lines. And there's nothing here but moisture. So by the time my little line gets there, I have a nice little highlight. And so I'm going to pull tiny little highlights. Oop, let's just swipe that across our paper towel. And swipe those on. Again, titanium white, swipe it across your paper towel. I'm just doing the front petals. And this one needs a little bit more of a separation. Oops, right there. Okay, now, one thing I love to add to pink flowers is a little bit of Dairy Light Yellow, because Dairy Light Yellow really, just gives some warmth to some flowers, okay? But before I do that, now I'm going to take a little bit of the white. I wiped off my brush a little bit more than I did on the front, and I don't want to neglect these petals in the back. I just want to give them a 3 or 4 little swipes of titanium white, so they're a little more defined. Okay. And then Dairy Light Yellow. All right, the only color I can equate this to is, and it is in a different brand, but it's School Bus Yellow. Saffron Yellow in Americana would be a good substitute, but again, it doesn't have the pigment load that this has. And I'm going to use, I want to show you how little I'm going to use. Like, I'm going to kiss that right there and probably do almost every, come back to where I swiped that and worked it in. And I'm just going to get a little bit of warmth on those, and then I like to slide it down onto those leaves as well. Okay. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Shirley. All righty. Anybody else hearing an echo? Huh. I don't hear an echo. Okay, let's go to the daffodils. So remember, we put the center in after we did the shading. So I will come back with some asphaltum, and we're going to have a little shading right here and a little bit right here, because that one's facing that way. And then this is going to be down there, there. And this one is just right in the center. Okay. I'm going to use that 1/4 inch angle, and Baby duck. Is that what I used? Baby duck. Nope, sorry. Sunny day. My bad. I grabbed baby duck because I thought that's what I used, but then I looked at my packet. So we are going to highlight the highlighted side of these petals. So think of maybe your lights coming from like 11 o'clock. We're just going to highlight that side right there. And then I'm going to take the toe of the brush and just zigzag it around that little center. So the toe is just going to zigzag around that. Okay. Reload it so that your brush is flat, and you're going to come in and highlight those petals. Oop, I think that petal goes over. And we're going to put this one a little bit on both sides. Oop. Swipe across your paper towel. Now, these are going to get covered up when we do our lamb. But we will put them back on. And if I forget, just know that you need to put them back on. Notorious for that. Getting done and thinking, oh, I forgot to show that. Okay, remember around those little centers. You can use a liner brush if you don't want to use the toe of that brush. But again, these are very impressionistic. They're very loose. They look like daffodils. They're the color of daffodils, right? And they're going to look like daffodils if you paint them this way. If I were doing just daffodils, I would take more time to give them more detail, but they don't need more detail. Yes, we're getting thunder too. Did you hear mine, Loretta? Okay, now one color I just absolutely love are the neons. You guys, these give such a beautiful punch of color. Do yourself a favor, get those off. Keep your paint from drying out. I'm going to use that number 4 flat. I'm going to get it wet and pick up a touch of that, a touch. You're going to see how strong it is. And it can almost go a little green, the yellow. This is scorching yellow. There's thermal green, the fiery red. But look at how that amps that color up. It keeps your dark, it keeps your light. So your highlight's not going to go anywhere except up. Your shading is going to stay there. And you just get a beautiful, beautiful color. Oh, I love it. Okay, and again, you can swipe those here and there. This needs something right here, so I'm going to put it right there. Almost like it needs a leaf that's going to go back. I'm just going to pop that in. Right? Neons, neons, neons. I love the neons. I use the neons all the time, so I carry the neons. All right, I'm noticing in my tree right here that, see that, look at the camera right there, because if you take a picture of your piece and you put it on your computer, you're gonna see things that you don't see when you're just looking straight at it. Like that was a big swipe of color that needed to be broken up. Whereas over here, I don't have enough bright on that front tree compared to these. So again, before you think you're ever done with the project, take a picture of it, put it on your computer, and see what needs to be tweaked, because most likely something does. And then don't waste the paint. Just use it in your background. All righty, guys. Now we have a couple of petals like over here. Let's get a little bit more of the asphaltum. Oops. Really just, we want to separate that just a bit more. Okay. Let's dry everything. We're going to finish off these tulips with our brush. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of titanium white, work that in, swipe it across my paper towel. And again, just on the fronts, I'm going to just swipe a brighter highlight. And on the daffodils, we're going to use the Posca pen. Okay. So the 0.7 millimeters, I think in the packet I put 0.7. I do carry these because I love them. I like the nib on them. If the DecoArt marker makers had the nib that thin, I would certainly be using it. Now, I don't want to go all the way around the flower because I want to come in and soften that line with a clean brush that's slightly damp so that we don't get an outline look, but we get a highlight. Okay, so it's just going to soften that just a wee bit. I'm just taking it right on the edge of the petal with the toe of that brush and softening the look. Oops, and I need to pump it. So this is just paint. If you look on YouTube, if you have these, you can refill them. I would suggest refilling them and then using the DecoArt marker maker to thin your paint, because when you thin paint with water, it takes away some of the adhesion properties, and we don't want to lose the adhesion from the paint. Okay, so it's getting a little too bright, especially for going off the edge. The other thing is, if you do this and you're at the end, you're like, oh, it's still too white. Guess what? A wash of yuzu yellow is perfect, okay? Or whatever your base yellow is. We don't want it to look outlined. We just want to help give it a little bit of a highlight. And I find it much easier to do with this than with the brush. And this one already dried, so I will come back and definitely be putting some color on there. Okay, 6 laps to go. Oh, goodness. Okay, so I am going to come back in with that baby duck and just put it on some of these whiter. Too bright. You could use baby duck, you could use the yuzu, which is our original base color, I think. But they're close enough that if you use the yuzu and not the baby duck, that'd be okay. Okay. All right, now let's get onto our lamb, and I'm going to do the daisies last. So I'm going to really try hard not to make him harder than I made him to begin with. And we're going to put a little bit fresher Payne's Gray, very watered down. So I'm showing you a duplicate of what I did when I base coated him in. Okay, was I just slapped this color around, just like that. Okay, and we're going to dry it. I see something that's aggravating me, and if I don't fix it now, so this is just a little bit of yuzu. And then see how those two petals run right into each other? Instead of drawing a line with the pen, what I can do is come in with a little bit of Plantation Pine and Payne's Gray and separate those two right there. Okay, so again, whatever is around it, underneath it, is a great eraser. I'll do the same right up here. All right. Oh, Sandy. White right there. Hello. I'm gonna get some Plantation Pine there. Alrighty, I'm going to come in with my black Posca pen. So again, this is the Media Fluid Acrylics. Yes, it is the Media Fluid Acrylics gray. I am not a big fan of the Americana color. I think it's a little wimpy, but I do love this for everything. And you can mix this with your Americanas. You can mix it with any acrylic colors. It's just amazing. Okay. Now, the scary part. We want to keep the shape of the eyes, right? And like I said, when I first did them, I made them too round and they looked a little demonic. So I'm gonna try not to make them look like that. This little part of our nose, this is just to help me keep my shape, okay? Now, it is paint, so it needs to dry. So let's go ahead and dry it. Oh, right here where I did that, I'm just looking at my original. It's because I have a leaf that I put over it, so it was going off the back or the side. I put a leaf there. I just forgot to put that in. Okay, so now we have the eyes and the nose and all that, the mouth. So I'm gonna pick up some Payne's Gray and a little bit of asphaltum on the corner, the toe of my 1/4 inch angle. I need to get some more Payne's Gray out. If you don't have any other color in the media line than Payne's Gray. It makes the prettiest, casts shadows, darkens my Plantation Pine to the desired color. But I have a little bit of a shadow here and a little bit of a shadow here. And what I'm doing is the toe, I'm watching the toe as I move along, okay? Because I know I want a shadow there. I'll pick up some more Payne's Gray, asphaltum. And we've got a little bit of a shadow here, up underneath this leg, here, and there. Now, we're gonna have to put those back in, okay? But anytime I can give myself that guideline of where my shadow is gonna be, especially like on the left side of the head, I did that in the packet. If you got the packet, you'll see, because I wanted to know where things were. On the legs, there are like these little shadows down here, almost like that's where the foot comes up. However, kind of like bird feet. I just didn't want all of the feet showing, so I came back and I put in grass so that I didn't have to worry if they looked real pretty or not, okay, if I'm being honest. So we'll get a little bit of shading in here so we can see where those limbs are. Then I'm gonna rinse it out. Okay. Kyle is your guy. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate that. Alrighty, guys. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, share. I've got 3 amazing giveaways. I showed my membership group this the other day too. When I was at the expo a couple years ago, I bought these from another vendor. Well, it had their logo on it. So I ironed on my little made thing for this brush holder. And I'm going to be giving these away. Don't think I'm going to have them on my website. I might have them at convention, but anyway, it holds brushes. So, okay, let's get back to our Lammy. I'm going to come in with the 8th flat. Okay, and warm white. Let me just show you my palette here. We have to start with a little bit of a base, and we have that with the Payne's Gray, right? But I want to come in with, well, not with green, hello, little bit of that warm white, tap it across my paper towel, and I am going to use the corner just to kind of get a little bit of shape. I know I have a little here, and I just want to not take away all that gray, but do a very little circular motion that's going to give the illusion of that fluffy, woolly fur. Okay. This entire thing, this part stumped me until I finally figured out that I was overthinking it. Like I mentioned, we're gonna wanna overthink this, but we just need to be able to see light and dark. We want it to look fuzzy and fluffy, but we have to build it, okay? So I grabbed a little bit more. We're gonna put some here on the ears. I'm just gonna get that toe, or that corner, excuse me, right along the edge. We'll come down to the face. And I'm still gonna be able to see my eyes. That's why I went ahead and put those on with that paint pen. I can go around them, but again, semi on top of them so that I can cover up a little bit of that paint pen. Okay. And now I'm sitting, I have to stand up. So, hi Kathy. All right, I'm gonna go back to the, I think I used a 3/8 angle on this one. So let me get my 3/8, and if I didn't, I'll switch back. But I'm going to use the toe on the 3/8. It's slightly wet. I'm gonna pick up some of the titanium white, work it in, swipe it across your paper towel. Make sure you don't have any water on that ferrule because it will drip down and just make an absolute mess. I'm gonna leave the head alone for right now, all right? I'm going to, and I'm tapping that toe and making a little bit of a circular motion, okay? In between those leaves. Right down to the feet. Remember, don't worry about the legs or the feet. A lot of it is covered up with the grass that we're gonna put in, okay? Then come back, pick up a little more, swipe it across your paper towel. Don't forget that. It's going to keep you from getting a lot of paint where you don't want it. Okay, especially along those edges, although I did come back with my liner brush and make sure that I get that little motion, that little movement, so that it looks like fuzzy woolly fur. I had a beautiful wool rug that my mom gave me. We lived in England at the time, and they were in Germany, and their landlady gave her this wool rug, and she got one for me, and I washed it. I did not know that you cannot wash it. So needless to say, my wool rug ended up in a big old ball of nothing. Yeah, so, okay, so we're just spiraling around this. Remember, we got to build it. So we'll have to come back in with our highlights, our shading, everything, just to make it look woolly and fluffy. Fluffy snowman, absolutely, Linda. Great, great input. Hi, Debbie. Bye, Judy Thacker. Thanks for being here, my friend. Alrighty, so I picked up a little bit more of the white. And we're just gonna come right up here to the head. And we're just building our color, okay? So we want to build the white on the gray without losing that, although we will put back in many of the elements. With shading later. All right, I do think I'm going to switch to the 1/4 inch angle now. And right up in here, I'm going to start getting some movement. Now, when you paint birds, animals, things like that, there are directions for their fur. If you've ever watched, well, Peggy Harris, I mean, is just the queen of baby animals. But Lydia Steves does the cutest animal faces and fur, and so there are directions. So like we know that the direction from the nose is going to go up, right? And from here it's going to go out. We want to basically try and get rid of any kind of background color that we might have seen through the wash that I did with Payne's Gray is right now the key. It's not to make a pretty lamb, it's just to get rid of that gray that I put on. Oops, too much water. Okay, so he looks, why aren't I painting? Loretta, I know. Let me just tell you guys, when I got to this point, it scared me. I'm using titanium white. I know, right, Lucy? Yes, that was Lucky Judy. But we're building up the color. So that was with the titanium white on the toe of that brush. And I'm going to come back in. We're going to start building this up. See the difference? Okay. And you can get, even if you have to get right on that flower so that it doesn't look like you went around the flower, get onto the flower or the leaf. All right, that's just going to make a big difference. We've got our little white here. And on the back of this leg, we do have a brighter highlight than where it meets right there. I can't even believe we haven't gotten to the daisies yet, but I did tell my husband. He's like, how long do you think it'll take today? I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long one. This is going to be at least a 2-hour. So I'm just tapping, and I would suggest using maybe an angle brush that isn't your favorite, that has the best chisel edge. Go around that. Added just a bit of water to my brush to smooth it along, because my lights are really drying out the paint in my brush. Again, the shadows are there to help you, give you guideline for where things are separated. You most likely will get rid of them, like I just did on this down here and that. But that is okay. I can still see them, and anytime I can give myself guidelines to continue to see the shape of things, I'm good to go. Touch it with your finger. And all the tiny little ones will come with a liner brush. So again, a little bit of titanium white. Make that uneven underneath the eye. Okay. Why does white fade back? You know, white, it just kind of soaks in and sinks in. So building it up in color, I just have always done that. The other thing is, if you use warm white as your base, you're always going to get a brighter white when you put the titanium white on top, because the warm white is more opaque. Okay, let's start building up some of our features. So we know we've got a little bit of a nose right here, and it's going to go up. All right. And then in the ears, I'm going to put a little bit of asphaltum. Again, he's going to look like a scary, scary lamb for a minute. I want to come back in with a little bit of asphaltum and Payne's Gray to get that little shadow back in. Oops, had water on my finger. Here. And right there. Okay. Let me grab a liner brush with some Payne's Gray. I like to use Payne's Gray instead of black. I got water everywhere. I like the way it doesn't look so harsh, okay? Sometimes black can look a little harsh. See, like that. And that's what my eyes look like when my husband looked at it the first time. I was like, that looks like a dog. It does not look like a lamb. Okay. going to pick up some white on our liner brush. And we're going to paint in the white. And for whatever reason, if you're like, oh, I've got to put my pattern back down, put your pattern back down. What I did was kind of redefine the shape of my eye with the white. And then if I needed to come back in, give it a little highlight. But it is going to look a little scary. And you're going to go, what in the heck am I doing? Okay. I'm using a 0 liner from Dynasty. I do not carry these, but I do have a discount code on the brush guys. So what we're going to do is right up in here, I'm going to start at the head and work my way down. And I'm just going to really concentrate on that edge and having a little woolly look. Touch it with your finger if you get too much. And I'm sorry I'm not talking because I'm concentrating. I don't want to make this bigger, and I did on my original when I was painting it, because you know when your brush is just kind of going willy-nilly, you tend to make things bigger sometimes, and I don't want to make my Lammy bigger than he needs to be. So, but we're just building up that white. I'm going to turn it so I can keep it out of the way. Again, liner brush, inky white paint. Touch it with your finger or soften it with your mop brush. Just little hairs in the ears. Again, I'm going to start right at the edge and then work my way in. And then I'm going to finish with kind of like probably the brightest with my Posca pen. So you could even use the Posca pen for all this. I thought about it at first and I'm like, I don't want to waste that much of my Posca pen. And I know some have told me they throw away their pen when they're done, and it's like, you can refill it. Okay, we don't want any straight lines. The wool is fluffy. Okay, so we're getting there, right? He kind of looks like a dog. So we want to come in with that 1/4 inch angle now. I'm going to put some white on the toe. And this is where we're going to start building our final little highlights and shading. You can add color to the eye. You could put a little white, a little bit of blue, like from the sky. But these brighter white areas, again, just building up, layering that color. It's going to give you nice fluffy little lamb. And then we do have, if you start to lose those separations, so like we have here, you know, just something as simple as that can throw off the shape. And I noticed that when I was doing the original that, you know, again, I'm like, wait a minute, I have a dog. And also don't forget, like in here, if I make my head too straight, you're going to want to come in and round it out. Or if you make it too big, you can come back in with your background color and fix it up. Okay, so we do want to bring that out just a bit. I think I made my neck down too low. In fact, I know I did. So we're gonna take away a little bit of his head right there, because I made it entirely too big and he looked like a short, stumpy little tiny lamb, right? All right, let's dry him. So I'm gonna lay my pattern back down and see where I need to fix up. I think his mouth got a little short. Aw, thank you, Debbie. Yeah, I agree. I like the brush more than with the pen. So this is what I was talking about. If you do that with your, see, I still have too much of a neck there that I need to take away. See how much you can see? So that's a really good thing if you've got it again in vellum. You'll be able to erase. Oops, still got some. And take away some of the shape. Okay. Now I am going to come back in with my angle brush. We're going to round these out just a little. I feel like those kind of got lost. A little bit of asphaltum on the toe of my angle brush. Let me get some more because I'm out. The other thing, while he's looking very dirty under the neck, some letters, some words that I have, I thought, you know, that one might be a little too big, and if you put it there, you're going to cover up one side of your flowers. But then I had this one, and as soon as I grabbed it, I promptly broke it. But I have the Happy Spring, and I thought that would be cute too along the bottom, right? So let me get some more titanium white. And we got that asphaltum. And we're going to put that underneath the eyes, underneath the mouth and nose, a little bit more pink. And we're going to go back with our liner brush. And I want to put a dot. I'm going to put a couple little strokes above the eyes On the nose, we're going to put a dot, and a line, a dot, a dot. I'm going to put a little bit of hair underneath that mouth and chin. And then just a little loopy loops. We don't want to take away that shadow, but we do want to take away this dark without taking away too much of it, too much of that shadow. Some little squiggly lines, and then I'll tap it with my finger. Along the edge here, you're going to do little swirls. And I'm going to make him fluffy. I'm going to make him fluffier, I think, than I did on my original. I like that little movement, that little zigzaggy, crazy eight type fluff. We still keep our shadow there. We're going to put a little there. A little on his legs. We don't want anything straight on the legs. So if you're doing like a Highland cow, think about the same kind of little movement with that brush to get that fluffy, fluffy look. Okay. Hello, spring, right? I will say, I think my eyes got a little big. But we're going to use the Posca pen. Okay, I'm going to get that working. And this, to me, is easier to kind of shape up things. Like maybe if you got the mouth too big, if you want to do some little scribbles, little hairs, little fine hairs in the ears. Little squiggly fur, woolly look. Okay, and again, if the eye got a little too big, you can shape it up. All right. I'm still thinking his head is off. It's driving me crazy. I'm going to come in with a little bit of asphaltum. Okay. Let's get his little fluffy going on. I'm laughing, guys, because this is exactly when I painted him the first time. I'm like, he looks like a dog, but we're gonna get him there. It all has to do with the face. Right. Okay. Let's get some brown. And some green. Remember I said earlier, if you feel like you got the head too big or the face too big, you can come in with your background color. And then maybe not as wide. And a liner brush. We're going to make this a little bit wider. So we lost that. I was going to, like I said, use the Posca pen for most of the little squigglies, but I felt like it just detracted from like the background. If the wool looks too fake, then the trees in the back should be a little bit more whimsical. You know what I mean? Okay, we are going to come in with our liner brush and pick up some plantation pine, a little bit of Payne's gray. Get it nice. Aw, thank you, Joanne. And we're just going to pull up. Now, when you're doing this, you want to have this kind of motion. Okay, so we want to flick it so you get the nice thin little strokes of grass. And we're just going to put a few in. We'll put some over the lamb's feet. Right now I want to put it over his face because he's driving me crazy. But again, that very loose movement. Have a light grip. If you're really holding that brush, it's not going to move for you. Okay, so you're going to really get too defined of a line. And if I don't like too much, I'll just do that, brush it out with my fingers. Okay, we get some grass up over here, up over those tulips. Oh goodness, Carol, you didn't have sound that long? Oh my goodness. So again, this is plantation pine and some Payne's gray, and I'm putting in, and this again can be as light or as little, as much grass as you want in your little meadow. You put that in. Plantation pine and Payne's gray. We want to get this in here. We'll come back and put some over our daisies. But let's go ahead and dry that. With our heat tool. Oh, I see what I did there. Okay, so I made the daisies with the Posca pen. All right, if you've got a bigger Posca pen, you can use it. You can also use this 0.7, but it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a little dash sideways. That's going to make your daisy look different. Or you can do slide, slide. You can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you want one that's a little more open. And I'm just popping them in wherever. That did not transfer the pattern because I didn't want, I mean, we would have lost the color anyway when we did the background. I'm probably going a little overboard. Let me get those little daisies in there, okay? In here, I see where I lost a little green, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Okay, up there I've got one, got some down here. Again, 5 little, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give you a nice little daisy. And I did not add much to those. What I did was I came in with asphaltum and my liner brush, and I just swiped in a little bit of a center. And if it gets onto the white a little, that's okay. And then let's dry that. And while that's drying, I'm just going to add a little bit more white to the wool here. Okay, now we're going to leave those daisies for just a minute and come in with our yellow, Diary Light Yellow. Diary Light Yellow. And we're just going to pop in a little bit of a center. You could also use a little bit of the neon if you wanted it to be a little bit brighter. You can certainly do that. But they did not get a lot of detail. And then back to the plantation pine, maybe a little Payne's gray. And I will pull some of the blades of grass over it. You could also do a couple little stems for where maybe you think you see some stems. And then when you're finished, you can kind of reevaluate, like, okay, I need another little daisy there. So you don't have like soldiers in a row, okay? But you also want to put some stems over that. We don't want it to look like all the daisies are just laying on top of the grass. So I did that with plantation pine and Payne's gray. And then we'll come back with some sprout. And a little bit of white. And we'll highlight that. You could also use some of the sea glass that I had. Again, remember that goes a little on the white side, so you'll want to pair it with the sprout, so it doesn't end up looking very white. Oops. Very inky paint, nothing too solid. And again, light little touch on your brush. All right. Thank you, Diane. Yeah, I've got to fix the eyes up. I want to show you guys they're oval, but they're not real round except for the black part. Okay. So, and then the little daisies. Finally, we're going to add a little bit, and I just thought this needed a little bit of the peacock teal. It is such a bright, vibrant color. I'm looking for there it is, liner brush. And when paired with the greens, gives you a really pretty, like fresh greenery. Okay. For the centers of the daisies, you could also even use a little bit of that sky color if you wanted to pop that in the centers just a little bit. Okay. Daisies are easy, right? Oh, Loretta. So I did with the pen, just with the Posca pen. Come in and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then pop in your center with a little bit of asphaltum. And then Diary Light Yellow. And if you want them brighter, you can even add some of the neon. All right, guys. I hope that you enjoyed painting my Lammy. This head is the right size. And that background, right? I mean, you could so paint a meadow quickly, just like I showed you. All right, let's come back up here. Okay, don't forget to like, comment, share for those giveaways for my little sticker packet full on that little tote bag. I'm gonna fix up my little Lammy head so he's not so big like my original. And if, again, you get into that trap, just come back in with your green. I could sit here for another hour and play with it, but I'm not gonna do that, so anywho's. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Y'all have a fantastic week. Don't forget to get those brushes out, do something creative. If you're looking for a painting convention somewhere close to you, these are the ones that I'm going to be attending, with the exception of the one in April. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in Arkansas and Albany, New York. So, appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to smile while you still have teeth. Alrighty, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. Bye.